What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica Podcast, the last podcast of the. Foda-se, viste aquela saída do okay, so the last podcast of the 16-17 season. It sure has been a ride, but we'll save the goodbyes for later. On tonight's podcast, we will look back at the Taça de Portugal game versus Guimarães. We'll also do a quick season recap with some awards and who we thought was the MVP, best defensive, best offensive, most improved, revelation player, and the Bidon d'Or.
Biggest disappointment.
Bidon d'Or. That's in Italy.
That's the one in Italian, yeah.
Bidon de mer.
Quaresma got, and he got all pissed off. He was driving around his Audi. I think it was an Audi R8.
Yes, and he threw that shit.
Yeah, Cristiano Oliveira next to me.
What's going on, everybody?
And Steve Santos is past the wall. If you follow Game of Thrones, he's past the wall.
I don't follow Game of Thrones.
He's with the White Walkers.
Too much fantasy for this boring old man.
Anytime soon, anyway.
In a couple weeks.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. So here we are. Let's get right into the Portuguese Cup final at Estádio de Jamor this past Sunday. Ederson in goal, Semedo, Luizão, Lindelof, and Grimaldo across the back. Feza and Pizzi in the middle. Salvio and Servi on the wing, Jonas behind the Jimenez. So nothing new there. We all knew what was going to happen, really. I think that Rui Vitória thinks that this was or feels that this is his strongest lineup. I think there was some doubts as to whether he was going to give Júlio César some time because Júlio César had been doing the whole Portuguese Cup campaign. But I think that Rui Vitória felt that he should have gone with the best that he had available, and he sure did. And I don't think we have much to say. Before we get into that, and Cristiano just got a call from a friend of his who was talking about the guy that delivered the ball. And look, I don't have a problem with pompous and ceremony. We had 2 helicopters fly over the stadium. We had 3
jets.
Whatever jets they were called. I forget their name was.
They rented those at like Party Russ.
I don't know if they rented them, but you know how much that cost the Portuguese government? Mm-hmm. Did you really need jets? Did you need the helicopters?
Tava lá o presidente, man. You had a nice show.
Is the show of force? Yeah. I heard that they only had 3 because the 4th one was at the mechanic shop. Anyway, but the thing was the guy that delivered the ball. Look, it's very cool. It was all over Twitter. It was all over the world. But can we get that guy a cooler uniform? He had these shoulder pads. He looked like came out of a movie from the Twilight Zone from the 60s. Come on, man. We can't do anything better than that. Put him in a spacesuit or something that looks cool. You look like Limpa Chimenez or something like that. Cristiano, what did you think of all that, the celebration?
At first, it was weird when I saw the guy coming down in the drone. I have to admit it. It was a little, I'm like, what? But then I'm like, oh, okay, it's cool. It shows Portugal is a country that's willing to innovate and a country willing to experience with these things. It was cool. It was different. And so that's why I made it cool. Because I think majority throughout the world, we're talking about the Taça de Portugal more so because of that one moment than anything else that happened in the game. So it was cool. It brought attention. Yeah, it did. Listen,
the Lucha Libre mask, man. Come on.
That's but that's here, North America, Steve. I mean, you go to Yugoslavia, nobody knows what the hell that is, but they know what a drone is.
Fair enough. They definitely know what a drone is.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah. So, Steve, let's get right into the game. Nothing. I thought Benfica played their game. I thought that now that the team seems a lot more relaxed after getting the championship, I thought they played the game. Nothing flashy. Actually, in the first half, I think both teams split some chances. And I think that the whole game plan was that we were going to wait for Guimarães to come at us because obviously after 3 games of being used and abused, they were obviously going to come at us for something that mattered.
Not just 3. They hadn't scored on us since that famous goal in the Taça Portugal in 2013 that actually took the Taça Portugal with Rui Vitória as their manager.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've been getting spanked by Benfica ever since.
That's an incredible stat. But, Steve, break it down for us. What did you see in this first half?
The way I watched the game was this was a game that Benfica tried to remove, or at least it looked that way, the context of the game that it was a final. If you watch the game, Benfica always looked like they were going to be patient. They were not going to force passes. They didn't look like they were playing in a nervous final where it was all hinging on one goal or one play. It looked like a league match where they were very confident that they were the better team and were going to play patiently until they arrived at the occasion that allowed them to get the goal. You didn't see, for me, I didn't see a whole lot of urgency, which watching live, which I wasn't able to do, I'm sure would have annoyed me as to high heaven. But watching on the tape delay, you could see that there was that bit of calmness to them, where whenever Guimarães was contesting a 50-50 challenge, they looked like it was the last challenge of their life. Whenever they had the ball, they were really, really going for the early ball, trying to unleash the speed of Verdani or Marega. It was a completely different approach to the game. It was an approach that, if you look at it, like Cristiano just said, Guimarães has not scored against us since that final. And that final has got a huge story to tell in our past four championships, but we could talk about that another time. But that just shows you that Benfica was there and that said, okay, we're the better team. We're just going to play our game, like you said, and not get caught up in the moment, on the occasion, and just be patient. And that's what I saw.
Steve, but I think you have to give Guimarães credit. I think that even though Benfica had more possession in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, I thought they did a good job taking away space from Benfica. They did a good job defending, and on a counter, they did have, in my opinion, probably the better chances in the first half. Benfica didn't really do much with the possession, and they were the trickier side in the first half, in my opinion.
Yeah, the first half of the game I thought was kind of flat for both teams. You can probably blame it a little bit on the weather. I think, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, I think the Jamor has always been a bit of a slow pitch. And I found that it was even slower than usual after the rain got on it. And it looked a bit awkward at times.
Which is weird.
Normally the rain makes it a little bit slicker.
Yeah, because listening to the players and listening to some of the Taça preview, right? A lot of the players, former players that played on that pitch for many years, said that pitch is a very slow field because the studs, it's a hard field. The studs don't really get into the grass, don't get into the ground, and they constantly have to wet it. And even wetting it constantly, was a very heavy pitch. And so I figured, okay, it's pouring, it's going to help out. But it just rained so much that, like you said, it just slowed down everything for Benfica in some ways.
But that was just the first half. I think the second half, I think Rui Vitória does a good job at halftime because Benfica come out in a different light. I think the goal obviously makes a huge difference, and then Vitória Guimarães have to approach it differently, which helps us.
Yeah, Miguel Silva helped us out in that one.
Yeah, well, and look, it goes back to what I was saying that in the beginning of the podcast, as I was mentioning the lineup, that Rui Vitória opted to go with his best goalkeeper. That wasn't the case for Guimarães. I don't believe that guy is the starter.
No, he's not the starter, but he's the guy
that has played the Portuguese
whole
Cup.
Taça. And so, in a way, and I don't know if you guys noticed, Júlio César didn't look like his happy self. Even after the game, he looked a little serious, and he had a couple choice words. Post-game, he clarified them. Leaving at the airport, leaving for Brazil on his vacation.
He went to Greece.
Or wherever the hell he went. But I figured.
And Luizão and Samaris.
He didn't look happy. I think he was upset because it's the one title that he was missing, and it's a title that he thought he'd probably be starting because he started every single game leading up to the final. And I thought it was a disservice, in my opinion. I think, look, I understand the pressures on Benfica to win the Dobradinha, all right? And this is a game that Benfica did lose to the same team just 4 years ago, on the same pitch. But I thought that he should have gone. We're not talking about, starting Paulo Santos here. We're talking about Júlio César, a guy that if he stayed up, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Santos. I don't know why. This is a guy that if he does stay on the club for next season, he's probably going to be your starter.
Yeah.
Júlio César. So, I mean, you have confidence in him to be your starter next season, but you don't have confidence in the Taça. And I understand Ederson's probably playing his last game for Benfica, and that probably had a lot to do with it. But still, I think you reward the guys that got you there. And I think, and in a way, I thought Guimarães did the right thing. They went with their second option goalkeeper because that's the guy that carried them there. And I would have liked to see Benfica. Even though, listen, anytime I get to see Ederson play, it's a privilege. He's a tremendous young goalkeeper, and it's going to hurt, when he leaves. But I thought the right thing to do was play the veteran, as Julie says, a guy that led us all the way there.
Yeah. So Benfica starts the second half on fire after a shot from Jonas. Jimenez jumped on the rebound, and he was able to chip it over the goalkeeper. I've seen him miss easier goals. And then look, this is something that's very typical of Jimenez. I think that if we had Mitroglou in there, and I don't want to take anything away from Mitroglou, but
he doesn't get there.
He doesn't get that goal. He doesn't. Nope. That's something that only Jimenez could grab on this team because of his effort, and
that's the one thing we've been praising this guy for over the last couple of seasons. I mean, we could go back to the goal in Zenit. The guy never stops with the shot that he took off the crossbar. But the guy just never stops. The guy gives it 100%. All the time, and I think that's the one strong suit that we've all, praised him for, and that's why Rui Vitória gives the guy an opportunity to play week in, week out. Mitroglou had a rough start to the season, had a tremendous mid part of the season, then not the best end to the season. And I think right now you go with who's hot, who's in form, and right now it's Jimenez.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So I got to give Jimenez credit for something. The guy's got some incredible strength of character. I mean, the first half you watch, he plays a lot of messy passes. He loses the ball on a few occasions. And then that opportunity presents itself, and he has the audacity to play a chip in that moment. I mean,
I don't know if you could do it. If you could do any more.
I don't think he had another. I don't think he had any other options.
You don't think so? He could have went around. He could, but even then,
I don't think he could have gone around. Remember,
I don't know, man.
Silva's ready to pounce on it. I mean, the quickest thing. He had no time. He maybe goes around. He gets contact. He brought down for a penalty. Which I want to get into this penalty thing. I want you to bring up this video referee stuff because I have some choice words for that. But I think it was the easiest thing to do. And look, hats off to him. But for a second there, it looked like it was going to go either over or crossbar.
It looked like it was going to hit the crossbar. I don't know. I watched it and I was like, man, the guy has had a few bad touches. He goes out there and he nails the finish that gets you the goal. That's clutch, man. And hopefully he continues that with us because that's something special.
Yeah. And so 6 minutes later, we were scoring the second goal. And I think that for Vitória Guimarães, who thought they had played a pretty good first half, to come out and to allow 2 goals in the first 8 minutes of the second half, when we always talk about the first 15 minutes of the second half of being such a crucial time in a game where you could really change the direction of the game, and Benfica having to grab 2 goals, I think it took a little bit out of the Vitória Guimarães sails. So I thought that Benfica did pretty well. And then, what we have seen, Benfica controlling the game, not really risking too much. We were unfortunate that Feza went out, and I think that because of Feza going out earlier in the first half, we I don't want to say suffered, because we really didn't suffer, but we didn't control the midfield as much as we could have without Feza there, because Samaris is obviously not the same thing. But Guimarães grabbed a late goal, and
they had a chance to tie it up, and they had their chances. I mean, Ederson out of position came out. We thought he got hurt for a second. They had their chances, and you know what, man? This is like, sometimes you have to tip your cap to the opposition. Guimarães is a very good team, and a lot of people are still remembering that last game. I decided to lose the 5-0 smashing, but that's not what Guimarães has been this season. They've been a very good, organized, defensively organized team, very well coached by Pedro Martins, and they came out. Their fans was tremendous. I mean, it was just a tremendous effort.
Yeah.
And look, if somebody's going to come out on top, I just wanted to be Benfica, but it sucked for those guys. I mean, this is a team that only has 1 cup in their history, and that's the one in 2013. I understand, but it's still a team that played well enough this season. A team that had their chances. They definitely had their chances to
but Benfica did too, Chris. You gotta look at it.
I'm not taking anything away from Benfica. I'm just giving credit to the opposition for this.
They deserve their credit, but in the same way that yes, Guimarães could have scored and it could have been tied, Benfica could have scored probably another 3 good chances, and it could have been an inflated result in the same way. We could have been 4-2 up or whatnot. So it's the game is full of ifs, but I think the better team won on the day. But like you say, credit to Guimarães.
Yeah. Cristiano, let's talk about the
listen.
First official sanctioned video árbitro game.
I think that was made up, that was installed in Portuguese football just in rulings against Benfica, if it's in Benfica box. Because if it's in favor of Benfica, they're not even going to check it out. I mean, there was 3 blatant handballs. 3. The one who hits him in the arm on the cross back into the box. The one where Pedro Henrique, I believe Pedro Henrique, the captain, hits him square in the hand. Like, that's a penalty. You telling me, what? Because Benfica might have been leading at the time, especially with that second handball, they couldn't go into the booth. I mean, it's pathetic. Like, what? Look,
the ref has to make the call to go into the booth.
There are people. There are people that are in favor.
That's the key.
Steve, hold on. There are people that are in favor of this new technology, right? And there are those that are against it. And those that are against it are the ones that say, you know what? There's always going to be controversies, even with this technology. And this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
At least one of the 3. I mean, look, those are, to me, it was all blatant, 3 of them, okay? But the one in the middle of the box where he's got his hand up and he hits him in that, that's clear. And the referee's right there looking at it.
It's ball in a mono ball.
I think the pressure's gone to the referees, man. People don't want to. I'm telling you, call me crazy.
No, for me,
pressure's gone to the referees. You didn't want to call. Look, unless it's something blatant. To me, that was blatant. But unless it's like you taking out a player from behind or whatever, they're not gonna call. Especially after all the attention.
Hold on.
That this has gotten. I think the referees decided to swallow his whistle there.
Alfredo, you as the referee, please.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. For me, as a referee,
go forward and say when this thing can actually be called upon. Because
I mean, there's four criteria that it's almost an automatic review, right? So the first one I think is goals. The second one is penalties, I believe. The third one is to identify the player, and the fourth one is whether it's a yellow or a red. I
thought the penalty one is not in there, and that's why there was no argument for the handball.
I would have to look at it again. But here's the thing, right? Me, and I'm not a very high level referee. I do some referee for travel soccer. The thing is that when you're on the field, right, if you're absolutely sure that it wasn't a handball, there's no reason for you to call the handball. And I think that if he was sure that wasn't a handball, he doesn't have to go review it.
But bro, if those 3 weren't handballs, what are handballs?
It has to be initiated from the referee.
You as a referee, I know you have you have privilege of watching it on TV, right? You had the advantage of watching it on TV. You as a referee, you telling me those weren't handballs?
It's tough. It all depends on the angle where you're at, the timing, the play. I mean, it's tough, man.
To me,
how many times has this exact topic come up on the podcast on what the distinguishing moment of ball to hand or hand to ball?
What have I said every single time?
If it hits your hand, it's a penalty shot.
Remember with the Pizzi thing against Sporting? I was here. That hits him in the hand. I'm clear. It hit him. I understand this monobola in ball on the mount. I understand. But in this case, he's sliding with his arm back. Look, don't slide with your arm back. That's a penalty.
Yeah, but if you put his arm up.
You can't put your arm anywhere.
If you put your arm up, it's even worse, Chris. That's the one that I don't, that I was like, okay. The one in the middle.
Look,
sliding. You can't put your hand sliding, dude.
We've seen 50,000 of those penalties called in those same situations.
Yeah, it all depends on interpretation.
Same exact situation. The problem. Guy sliding across to block across, his hand behind, the ball hits a penalty. End of story. It's a penalty.
Yeah. Let me read again. This is right off the FIFA website. Match changing decision.
Is Portugal going by those rules?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just saying.
These include serious incidents such as goals, penalty decisions, direct red cards, and cases of mistaken identity. Those are the 4 criteria. But I believe that the referee
call that penalty.
The referee has to initiate the review.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless if the referee is unsure. And it's one of those 4 criteria. The referee could go to the video.
Okay, well, I'm ready to give my grade to the referee. He gets an F. That was terrible on his part.
If on the field he feels that that's not a handball, then it's not a handball. But then again, here we are. Okay, there's a lot of gray area, and this is something that Bruno da Costa or Bruno Carvalho, whatever his name is calling for the truth in sporting competition. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be just as messy as what we had in the past season.
Well, right now I'm pissed off about it because those were 3 instances that if you're going to have this video referee, take a look at it. To me, I mean, it was clear. You watched replays from all angles. It was clear, bro. It's simple, clear. Ball hits him in the hand in the box, penalty. Acaba a história.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, it like I said, Chris, it's all dependent on the referee's interpretation. And if he felt that it wasn't a handball at the time he looked at it, he doesn't have to go to the video review.
And I stand by my words. To me, those were 3 very clear.
So there's
very clear handballs, and the referee decided to swallow his whistle because of all the pressure and all the nonsense that's been going around the VAR and all the penalties for Benfica. Look, the first one I don't recall, but the second one, the referee is right there within 5 yards of him, right? No one in between.
Is that the one he's standing up?
The one he's standing up, and the ball hits him in the hand right above the penalty spot. That is clear as day. And I'm not one of these going to come here. Oh, look, we won the game. At the end of the day, I don't give a crap. I hope that every time that there are penalties missed against my club, it's in victories, okay? And I'll be just as happy. But, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They made such big noise about the video assistant referee, all that, and now you have 3 blatant calls that are missed. Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's not going to take away from the human error factor. You're always going to have that, especially when it's up to the referee to really call on a video assistant. If he's sure that he made the right call, he's not going to the video assistant unless it's one of those 4 situations. But then again, it is what it is. I mean, handballs are very arbitrary.
But they've always been great.
But it's a gray area because it depends on the referee's interpretation. It depends on what his angle is, this and that. There's tons of it. So anyway, so for those of you that think that the human error and the referee sucking is going to be taken away because of the video referee, you're mistaken, man. If anything, this is only going to create more problems. And nobody's going to be happy. There's going to be more shows talking about these referees that are not going to the video assistant. There's going to be 24/7 show on CMTV just talking about these games and these mistakes. So it's not going to get any better, man. Not going to get any better. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. So that wraps up. Benfica wins their 26th Portuguese Cup, more than any other club
on the website,
in Portugal.
if you go on there, if you go on Wikipedia, they give him 29. They give him some other taças. They says 29. Though.
Wikipedia. Neil can edit Wikipedia. What are we talking about here?
I'm just telling you. If you go on Wikipedia page, that's what it says.
All right.
Count.
26 is the official count. 26 taças, Portugal, 36 campeonatos.
Maybe we need to start a Bruno Carvalho inquiry and request 3 more taças.
That's right. Let's get 10 more so we even it out. Anyway, so the 26th, it's always good.
And the 11th Dobradinha, the most in Portugal. I believe Porto 6 Dobradinhas and followed by Sporting with 5 Dobradinhas.
And it's
which I'm shocked.
One of the top of in
which
Europe
I'm shocked.
also, right?
I'm shocked. Out of 26 taças and 36 campeonatos, only 11 Dobradinhas. I was surprised by that stat.
Yeah, could be. Look, it's always an iconic picture or image to see the players go up the stairs of the Jamor and to lift the cup up in the stands. So I was happy to be able to witness that. And this year, Super Cup, the Tetra, and the Taça de Portugal.
Super Cup, I was there live.
I was
there in stadium.
It was a pretty good year for Benfica, if I must say. So let's turn our attention.
Keep them all like this going forward.
Yeah, let's turn our attention now to the season recap. Benfica was in first for most of the time. At one point, we held a very good, solid lead over our primary rivals. But then, it was like middle of January, we gave some points up, and
it was after,
became really tight.
I believe it was like February after the Taça game against Guimarães, where we won. We played Liga and Taça, and then we went through a very, very rough stretch after that.
That's right. Nonetheless, we said here every week that Benfica was crawling to the finish line, and it actually ended up being easier in the final stretch of those 3 games than it was, because kind of Porto did what Benfica did a few years back. So yeah, I mean, just victors in the championship. I think the Portuguese
Victories?
Cup also just victors.
Oh, just I thought you meant just victories.
So let's talk about the season now for you guys. I think that it will just I think it will take too much time just going by month and whatever. So the way we recap the season here, let's just talk about. We have how many categories here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll read you the categories. Best defender, best offensive player, most improved, revelation player, flop, and MVP are the categories that we have. So each one of us is going to name a player in those categories to really our opinion, really. Who wants to go first? Cristiano, you want me to go first?
Vai lá. These me, but go by category, and I'll say it.
All right. Best defender.
Smith.
Steve?
Luizão.
You guys are just going to say something, not explain your thoughts?
Smith was key. Smith was tremendous. Smith for 98% of the season where Salvio or anyone else that was playing on the right side was sleepwalking. He was running that whole flank. He carried the team. He was by far the most consistent player at Benfica all season long.
Steve?
Going very specifically about defending, I think Luizão is the most key part of the defensive unit. I believe he started the season off because of injury. As soon as he came back, everything.
No, he started the first game against Tondela. Came off in the first half because of injury. You're right.
Okay, and then he was away for a few matches, and as soon as he came back, everything kind of solidified. Samid was like you say, a very valid argument, has a very valid point, but I actually have another spot for him.
Yeah. For me it's Semedo also. I think that his consistency throughout the season and what he was able to bring, sometimes being the only weapon that Benfica had on the attack, guy coming from the defense.
You're discrediting my boy Eliseo on the left.
Both of you guys are onto something.
Yeah. Steve, I know where you're going with that. So for me, the best defender is also Semedo. I mean, I know that you can't take anything away from Luizão. But you can make the argument. For the leadership.
I'm not trying to butt heads here with Steve, but you can make the argument Lindelof was better than him all season long. I mean, Lindelof had 306 or 305 more passes than any other defender in Portugal.
You could.
300. Not 30, not 300.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he didn't have that standout season that he had last year, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact, and we covered it here, Steve, that he played on his offside. He likes to play on the right side of the center back pair, and because of Rizon, he had to play on the left, and he's not that comfortable with his. And even after that, he still had 300 more passes coming out the back than any other defender. So you can make the case, but I'm gonna respect Steve, and it's Steve's category. It's not my it's not my job to answer for Steve. So.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I agree.
Lindelof is our best defender. Probably all around best defender. But I think Luizão is a key, and that's why I went with him. And I have a hard time not having a spot for Lindelof, and I think he had actually a better season this year than he did last.
Luizão foi papado in Dortmund.
Well, I don't think he was that bad in Dortmund, but fair enough.
Wasn't. Watch the game.
Right. Next category, best offensive player. Steve, I know you're chomping at the bit, bro. Go ahead.
Semedo.
See? I knew somebody was gone.
As you guys were both saying, all along, Semedo was always, no matter what happened, he was always an outlet, an attacking outlet. He was always the guy able to create the mismatches on the 1v1 situations, create the mismatches on trying to gain numerical superiority because he was being the extra man in there. He was consistently good going forward, and going back to basics and defending is defending and attacking is attacking. I think even though he's a fullback, he was our most he was the biggest key for us going forward because he was always there. He was always an option. He never went gray. He maybe had a couple games where he was not as good as he was in others, but he was always a very valid option.
I actually have a tough time. I have a tough time with this category because, all right, so Jonas was injured for quite some time, and he really wasn't a dominating factor in our offense. I thought that both Jimenez and Mitroglou split time. They were good at times in the season. I thought that Salvio was poor for most of the season. Servi, Zivkovic, Rafa, Carrillo, they all had their moments. I think that if you look at all the wingers, you probably have to say that Servi was probably most
bro, that wasn't the question.
Instrumental. Bro. I don't know. For me, I have a hard
Stop
time
dancing around it.
I have a hard time. Best offensive player. I think that.
I thought you were supposed to have this written down already.
I don't.
You made me do it.
Yeah, because I'm winging it. Actually,
me too.
I'm going to say Pizzi. I'm going to say Pizzi because of the amount of goals that he scored from the position where he's at, from how much he created. Very key player. So that's who I got.
Chris?
I'm pleading the fifth in this one.
What? You can't do that.
I'm not going to
want to say Pizzi, but he can't.
Because this is going to haunt me forever. And it's going to follow me for the rest of my life.
You have to pick one, dude.
No, I think when he was good, and then when he was bad, he's really bad. But he linked up the play between every sector. He linked up the lines. I thought he had a really good year for a player that we all like to crack on at times. We all like to make fun of because there's just certain things that he tries to do that we can't comprehend. But maybe his mind, it just, it is geniuses. You never understand what the hell genius is. And I'm not calling him a genius, but maybe his mind's just so advanced and his feet are so behind that he can't catch up to
Stephen Hawkins, bro.
Yeah. Well, but
that's what I call him. Benfica Stephen Hawkins.
He had a really good season.
Brilliant mind.
He had a really good season. But when he's bad, he's bad. And unfortunately for him, he has, tremendous game, but then there's always a couple of flare-ups here and there. There's a couple of moments that you just shake your head like, come on, bro, it's peasy. You know what I mean? He always reminds you that, as good as I could be, this is also a big part of my game. You know what I'm saying? So, but with that in mind, I think Jonas being out, I still believe if he was there this full season, he probably would be your offensive player. Mitroglou, like I said, bad early start, good in the middle of the season, not a good ending to the season. Jimenez only came on in the end, even though he scored a big goal in Sporting in the middle of the season as well. The wingers, everybody was gone. So, I mean, Pizzi kind of has to win by default.
Yeah. Cristiano, most improved.
Most improved. Opa, that one's tough. Most improved. Most improved. Don't have one.
A player that you noticed that had most improved.
Don't have one.
See, that's why you got to write this shit
down. No, I don't have to write it down because I can't make shit up in my head if I don't have one. I mean, who the hell's most improved? I mean, everything. Look, Ederson. You could go whatever. The guy was tremendous last year. He was just as tremendous this year. So you want to say improved?
No, throughout the season. Who showed most improvement throughout the season?
Bro, nobody. Pizzi.
Brandt?
Pizzi,
most improved.
Pizzi. He was a lot better this year than he was last year. So Pizzi. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah. For me, Servi.
But how could he be most improved? He wasn't there last year.
Estou a falar desta época, caralho. This season. Throughout the season, who's the player that showed the most improved?
I don't like that. I don't like that answer.
A guy that comes from the Argentinian league where they're not really known for tactics and defending is a guy that develops almost into a complete winger.
Then if you're going to go by that criteria, I'm going to change my pick.
Por isso é que eu disse para escreveres.
Eliseu. Because he was a bum. Nobody cared about him. And then he was huge cog on the team, right? Tremendous part of the team.
Huge cog.
And then he flared off. I mean, look, Servi's a good – but Servi was good in beginning of the season. And again.
So you're going to change?
No.
You're going to change or not?
No, I'll stay with Pizzi because I'm going to go with the guy from last year. Pizzi. Pizzi last year was good at times, but this year he was good more often.
Steve.
Chris is going to get mad at me, but I'm going to say Ederson. And not to say that he wasn't good when he started or he wasn't good last season. I just think right now he is on a completely different level than he was last season and at the beginning of the season. I know the goal that gets scored on him this weekend kind of looks almost like it's his fault, and maybe it was. He could have maybe got there and read it and was there before the defender, but he also was probably expecting somebody to be there instead. Regardless, this weekend might not look the best on him, but for me, the guy is become an incredible keeper from a very good keeper. For me, right now, he's probably in the top 5 in the world, and that's why I chose him.
Steve, name him, because everyone's going to be hitting you up on Twitter to name him, so I might as well name him now. Go ahead. Top 5.
You already said, bro.
Top 5 keepers. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't like keepers.
In no particular order. Ready?
In no particular order.
Neuer, De Gea, Courtois, Oblak, and my boy Ederson.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that. I think
2 former Benfica keepers.
I think Buffon has an argument in there somewhere. Even
how can you not put Buffon there, dude?
The guy's that shit there's the araña, man. You're crazy. Bro, he's got the best defensive team in the world. I mean, look, he's good, but the guy makes 1 save a game. Stop. Get out of here. I need guys that make multiple saves a game. And I'll put those other guys because they're all young. Every single one of them, except Neuer. Neuer's already in his mid to late 20s. Everyone else is young. Early 20s.
All right. Revelation.
Look, Ederson was fantastic this year, but I think the guy just carried on from last year. He was tremendous. I mean, you could probably name me 1 mistake he made last year. And that's as an unknown. Now, I think he met expectations. The guy might have been better than what you expected.
1 mistake he did this year.
Because you didn't think this weekend. Because you didn't think.
This weekend?
Yeah, the goal now. It was soft.
What about the Sporting?
That was bad.
Oh, I forgot about
Sporting goal was bad.
Yeah, but that was with his feet. That don't count.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Revelation, Steve.
Servi. I mean, a guy that is a complete unknown to us to basically be at the level that you need him to be, like you said earlier, coming from Argentina, coming from South America, where the game, his position, the game is played in a completely different way, to basically just walk into the team and be able to keep up and make a difference. I think of all the wingers we got, the Zivkovic's, the Rafas, the Carrillos, all of them, all the first-year wingers, he was the one who gelled, the one who knew what he had to do, and that's why I chose him. For me, he's the revelation. I was expecting more from other players and didn't see it, but this guy, I heard he was a good player. He looked good in the beginning of the season, but I think he just fit right in.
Yeah, you can make it. You can make that argument. For me, it was great to see the improvement over the season. How he became an instrumental player by improving the defensive game that he didn't possess when he arrived in Portugal, and how he cemented his place in a starting 11. So that's why for me is the most improved. I think. Servi. Revelation for me, I think, and this perhaps not a revelation because Cristiano and I had been talking about Zivkovic for me, because we knew he was good, but I thought he was really good. And it's a shame that he didn't get as many minutes as we had wished for. Obviously, we thought he had his reasons, and now that we won the championship, we can't go against those reasons. But it's a guy that kind of leaves water in my mouth for next season.
I agree. I think it's Zivkovic. This is also a player that's 3 or 4 years younger than Servi. Keep that in mind. And Servi, let's be honest. Look, he won the starting spot on the left because due to the lack of other players' performances. I mean, it was a big part of the season there where he was playing because he was the only guy that was tracking back defensively and doing his work defensively. So just because of that, he's going to play over other guys that are going to walk around on the field. So you could go with either one, but I think Zivkovic, when he played, he showed he's a different class. For some reason, just like Servi in the middle part of the season went into Vitoria's doghouse, Zivkovic wound up in Vitoria's doghouse towards the end of the season. I'll never understand why. But I mean, hopefully next year he'll get a lot more time playing, and we'll see how special this kid is. I mean, we've been talking about this kid for years.
Yeah. Not for years, but for pods.
I have, and he didn't disappoint at all.
Yeah. Before MVP, let's go into flop. I think we all probably
all the same guy, sadly. Go, Chris.
Carrillo.
Rafa for me, Carrillo for Chris.
No, I mean, look, it's Rafa by default because of the 16.5 million that you paid for him. A guy that comes from the Portuguese national team, a guy who's the most expensive transfer in the Portuguese league, yada, yada, yada. But at least he showed you flash. He could get to the goal. He's tremendous. He just couldn't finish. What the hell did Carrillo do all season long?
But Cristiano, you also got to think that Carrillo comes from 11 months of not playing football.
I don't care.
And that's where I was going.
It's a disappointment, yeah, but there's a little asterisk next to it.
You could go with both guys. You chose to go with Rafa, and that's fine. I just gave you every single reason why I understand you going Rafa because it's price tag. But to me, Carrillo showed you nothing. He had like one moment all season long.
You had flashes.
I think that's a little bit harsh. I think that's a little bit harsh.
One.
Fine.
Carrillo's best moment. Quero mandar abraço a Bruno Carvalho.
Yeah, that's probably
that's his highlight of the season.
That's his second highlight.
Steve, Rafa.
I mean, disappointing.
I
expected more from him, and I still think we will see it as long as. Rafa for me is 99% mental right now. What's blocking him, not technical. So if we can work on that, I think we have a player there. So we'll have to keep an eye on it.
See, I agree with you, Steve, but that's why, in a way, I'm going with because Rafa, I actually have hope for him going forward. I have no hope for Carrillo. None.
Estás com corda hoje?
I got no hope for the guy. I mean, I don't know. It's just me. I hope he look. I love it when I'm wrong about my team.
It's going to be a lot different for both players come next year.
Why? What winger do you see leaving?
Huh?
You hear everybody else leaving on the team except
Salvi's leaving.
I don't think Salvi's leaving. I think everyone gets a clean slate next year is what the biggest thing is, and Salvi's the only one who's going to have a bit of an upper hand, like he always does, for a bunch of reasons that I'm not going to get into.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. But I think Carrillo will be both Carrillo and Rafa getting a fresh start, and now with the year under their belt, I think that they're going to show something else. And I for Benfica's sake, I hope they show something else. MVP for me is going to be Ederson. I think that and it's strange to give it to a goalkeeper, but for me the biggest thing is that yes, he became a monster through the season. He became a monster. He became that guy that we can count on. That we were never hesitant about him starting. There was never any hesitation when we saw him playing. And he, that game against Dortmund. I mean, I watched a lot of soccer, and Cristiano probably watches double what I watch, and Steve does too. But that was perhaps one of the best performances I've ever seen a goalkeeper have.
It's because you didn't see Timmy Howard against me when we played each other. I'm joking. Timmy Howard in the World Cup, though. I was joking with that. But go ahead.
No, I mean,
Ocho and Navas, those guys had tremendous World Cups.
But yeah, I mean, but he became a dominant figure. It's a shame that the season has a little wrinkle to it with that Sporting mistake. But I think that the fact that the team was able to come back, it made the team stronger against Sporting, and I think it made the fabric of the team much better. But for me, Ederson is for me my MVP. And, I think that the team wasn't consistent all season. The team struggled at times scoring goals, even though they finished the championship with the best attack and the best defense. But there was at times that the team struggled, that Ederson kept us in there, regardless who the opposition was. Steve.
Pizzi. Come on, I go on about him every week. I just watched Rui Vitoria's interview on Benfica TV, and he goes, Pizzi plays 52 matches in the year, and of those 52 matches, the grand majority of them, or all of them, are 8 out of 10 and better performances. And I have a hard time disagreeing with that. I know Chris is rolling his eyes and blah, 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 and Chris doesn't agree with me.
I just roll my eyes on the 8 out of 10. I just disagree with the 8 out. Not this. Pizzi
Pizzi was Pizzi always knows what the team needs, whether it's without the ball. He even knows uh, uh, where to position himself to provide cover, when to press, when to stay, and then with the ball, everything basically goes through him in one way or another. I'm running out of things, man. For me, Pizzi was our most valuable player because if he was not there, I would have a very hard time struggling to find somebody who could do what he does, and I don't think we have one.
Yeah. Can Pizzi get some kind of trophy by that guy from Tempo Extra from SIC? What's his name? Rui Santos for the most games without a yellow card. Cristiano, who's your MVP, dude?
Huh?
Who's your MVP?
Well, I gotta answer this question.
You gonna say Pizzi too?
I'm gonna say something, but I need you to listen because I got a reasoning for it.
That's why we're here.
It's the only reason why. I'm gonna say Pizzi because he was able to go like
I didn't hear
27
that. What did you
games,
say?
27 games
What did
without
you
getting
say?
a yellow.
I
That's
didn't
the only
hear.
reason why. I mean, that's MVP status right there. But now
Who did you say it was?
play the tape back. but I mean,
You said Pizzi. Pizzi's the MVP.
I'm having a struggle. Look,
You're eating crow right now. You
No,
understand
I'm not eating
this,
crow.
right?
I'm just having a hard time because I think the three best players of Benfica all season were Pizzi, Ederson, and Smith. And I'm having a hard time giving it to a goalkeeper. I'm really not, as much as I love Ederson, I'm having a hard time giving it to a goalkeeper, just like I'm having a hard time giving it to a right back, as good as he was. And so I'm going to go with the guy in the middle that controlled the style of play, that controlled the momentum, that carried the team forward. But again, I have my criticism of his because I'm pretty sure if we go on a chalkboard, I could point, or on video, I could point to many games where the guy goes absolutely missing. And then against the Ferences and the Riwavas and the Portuguese teams, he looks tremendous. He looks tremendous. But there's a lot of games. The Dortmund game, the guy was nowhere to be seen in both games. First half,
Benfica never had the ball, dude.
First half in Dortmund, he was good. I said this on the pod. Remember, if you remember,
Yes,
first half, I actually said I thought he was really good.
Benfica were good.
Second half, he disappeared. No, because he stopped coming to get the ball. Oh, see, you disagree, Steve. That's fine. But I'm to Jonas, right? Jonas was tremendous. I mean, without that goal against Studio, right? With that one moment of magic when Benfica's under pressure, there's no Pizzi to be seen. Pizzi's nowhere to be seen when Benfica's under attack. And started to lose against a Studio team, okay? With Bebeto's son. There's no Pizzi on the field. And Jonas gets the ball in a moment of brilliance, puts the game away. We're able to breathe. Stuff like you can make points and cases for other guys that had tremendous moments at one time, but all those guys missed a tremendous amount of time. So you have to go with Pizzi for that because I'm not going to give it to a goalkeeper because as good as a goalkeeper is, he's not going to win with that guy scoring goals.
So what you're trying to say, I don't know. How does it go? No mundo segues the one eye, the guy with the one eye is king. Is that what you're trying to say?
Being the tallest midget in the circus. You know what I mean? It's nothing to brag about. You know what I mean? What the hell? Look, he had a good season. He had a really good season for Benfica. And I know a lot of you guys are ready to go at me because but guys, it's by default. You can't take from the front line, from the midfield forward. You can't give me another guy that was consistent all year long. He's the only guy. And then you got to go behind. I'm not going to give it to a defender. I mean, we're not having a guy that was tremendously lights out. No, I mean, Smith was that, but I can't.
You don't give it to the keeper. What? Because it's beneath you? Because it brings down Benfica?
No, absolutely not. No. Yeah, look, like I told you before, the three best players from Benfica, hands down, Pizzi, Ederson, and Smith. Whichever order you want to put them.
Basically two defenders and one guy from the midfield.
But yeah, exactly. But because going forward,
it was a lot of inconsistency.
Everybody else was inconsistent. We just said it. We talked about all the wingers, all the disappointments. You know, guys. I mean, Jimenez was tremendous during the stretch.
So let's recap here. Best defender, Cristiano Semedo, Steve Luizão, and me. I have Semedo also. Best offensive player, Pizzi for Cristiano, Semedo for Steve, and Pizzi for me also. Most improved, Pizzi for Cristiano, Ederson for Steve, and Servi for me.
Steve's laughing because I just went with Pizzi everything.
The revelation player, Cristiano Zivkovic, Steve Servi, and I'm also Zivkovic. And flop, Cristiano Carrillo, Steve and I, Rafa. And on the MVP, Ederson for me, Cristiano had PT and Steve had PT. Now, this is something I didn't send to you guys.
Oh, no.
I did it on purpose.
Anil.
Grade Rui Vitória A through F for the season. Just this season alone.
All comps.
Huh?
All comps, all competitions.
Yeah, as a coach.
As a whole, not obviously as a coach, but every competition.
Every
not just
competition.
the Liga.
Let's go first.
I'm gonna give him a B+.
Okay. From A to F, Cristiano gives him a B+.
B+.
Dus is good of it.
Benfica could have been better, and I think, and I'm not saying that we wouldn't have still pulled off and came away with the title, but I think Porto letting it, slipping away and tripping down the stretch, that also alleviated a lot of the pressure that you'd see this team play with. And so we did have a 7-point lead in the middle of the season. Let's not forget also that he lost. So, I mean, I'm going to give him a B+ because Supertaça, won the Verdinha. Wasn't too happy with the Champions League performance. I thought that he conceded. I thought that he made the Tetra a bigger priority. And I thought that Dortmund could have been had. It's not against an unbeatable team. Dortmund's a team that finished 8th in the Bundesliga, whatever it was. They just fired a coach earlier today. A team that had lost. The team that had lost to one of the lower place teams in the league just leading up to Benfica. I thought that team could have been had. So I'm going to give him a B+.
Steve?
B. All of his objectives that he would have had at the beginning of the season, he met. So you can't give him a failing grade, obviously. My one gripe with Rui Vitória is I believe that we should play a type of football where we are more dominant. The type of players that we have, there's no reason that we should be having moments where we're biting our nails and scratching for opportunities at goal and that kind of stuff. Aside from that, I think Rui Vitória is a fantastic person. I think he's a fantastic coach. Aside from, I don't want to say that he's tactically inept, but aside from the way his game model seems to, I don't want to, he goes for the certain. I mean, he doesn't take enough, for me, doesn't take enough risks for a guy who has all of that player power at his disposal. I think games, if he were to be if he were to press higher at the front, if he were to more consistently try to create numerical advantages where he wants to put the ball, more consistently play out of the back properly instead of trying to go long, I think we would have a lot more convincing performances than we would when the chips were down in January and things were rough. There would have been a lot more planned actions and a lot more disguised plays. So
yeah,
or not disguised, but like pronounced plays where you see something that happens all the time and it works. And I didn't see that. But I don't want to take too much away from Rui Vitória. I know I have this fame of being hard on the guy, but the guy's a good coach.
I want to change my grade, by the way. And Steve, and look.
I want to change it.
I want to change my grade.
Let's change it to what?
You're very wishy-washy today, man.
I know,
very
right?
Wishy-washy.
That's what happens when you don't write shit down.
Because I was sitting here thinking.
Voila.
From a B+ to a B-.
For this.
Well, guys, where's all the... He was brought in for 2 things, right? Well, one thing. Develop the youngsters. How many youngsters from the B team played on the A team? That's it. End the story. So B-, just for that. Just because I want to be a douche. Because that's what a lot of you guys will tell me that he's so great at. My God, last year, everybody fell in his lap. You had no choice but to play. Guys, but whatever. Everybody wants to praise him. That's your prerogative. You can do it. So I want to knock him this year for not playing any guys from the B team. But Steve, look, he had one objective, which was to win the Tetra. And he's the type of guy, and I agree, doesn't risk it. I don't like it. But look, as long as he keeps winning, I'm going to be a fan. He did a tremendous job of leading this team to the Tetra. He's the type of guy, he doesn't care if it's ugly or pretty. He just wants the 3 points. And job accomplished. So for that, thank you, sir.
B-?
B-.
So you go below Steve.
I'm going B-.
Steve,
because he didn't play no youngsters. Because I want to be a douche. Because everybody wants to brag about him, so I want to be a douche.
Listen to me. You the putting in youngster is dependent.
Don't defend it. It's my opinion.
No. Tá bem, mas é o que eu vou dizer. Putting in youngsters is very dependent on who leaves.
Okay.
Because if you have the players from last year, there's no need to bring youngsters.
I don't want to get into another conversation, so leave it alone because you know where I'm going with that. Because other coaches didn't play guys because their team was there and they still get ridiculed and people want to kill them and hang them. So stop, okay? Move on.
Okay, for me, it's an A minus. I think I'm going to use some of you guys' points. Domestically, I think that he got the title in the end. It wasn't pretty. There's times that his tactical knowledge leaves a little bit to be desired. Perhaps that's the reason why I don't give him an A. I think that he got far enough in the Champions League, but I agree with Cristiano that that Dortmund could have been had. Excuse me. Past that, I don't think that Benfica has the personnel to go past Dortmund, but it's possible because Dortmund got who? Dortmund got Monaco.
Yeah, and then there was the whole
They got
terrorist
Monaco.
attack
Yeah,
thing, and it kind
the
of
bomb stuff. Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah. So for me, it's an A minus because of the way he managed the team, the depth that we had early in the season, all the injuries that we went through, and the way he was able to manage the team and to manage and to be able to still put a winning product with that many injuries to key guys. I mean, if you think about it, Jonas was out for 5 months. Grimaldo was out for 7 months. I mean, guys, Jardel hasn't played all season. These are all guys that were key players last season. Well, Grimaldo towards the end of the season last year. But Grimaldo, with the potential that he had in the beginning of the season, we thought, man, this is going to be great. Semedo on one side, Grimaldo on the other side. These guys are going to tear it up.
It might be a blessing in disguise. It's like last year. If Semedo hadn't gotten hurt, I believe he would have been gone. And now I believe Grimaldo might stay because he missed those 5 months and he wasn't able to shine.
Yeah, so I think that he did a great job managing the team, winning the Tetra, which has never been done. And I only don't give him a higher grade because I think he leaves a bit to be desired in the tactical aspect. I also agree with Steve that with the players that he has at his disposal, this team should be playing a lot better. We shouldn't be suffering in games where we're leading 1-0, 2-0, and the other teams, Trofenses or whatever Tondelas are on top of us. You know, that's not the Benfica that I identify with, and I kind of blame that on Vitória.
But here's a question I got for both of you guys, right? I'll be the one asking questions now. Is that the how do I put it? The fact that the team didn't play as well as they're capable of, right? Does that have to do with his tactical knowledge or the fact that these guys are just bums this year? They had down years in their careers.
No.
There's an argument for both, but I would lean on Vitória's.
But the individual skill was there at times.
So look, I'm not trying to defend the guy because I could criticize him when I have to. No. But it's Vitória's fault that Rafa jukes 10 guys, gets to the goalie and shanks it.
No,
Chris, but is it Vitória's
certain processes weren't there?
No. But how many times was he bailed out because of
no? It goes both
player
ways.
Quality, right?
It goes both ways.
I think that more often than not, it was the players being handcuffed by the way he approaches games and the way we attack and organize attack, especially, than player quality. Yes, some guys did not have good seasons, and then you're going to go with that where he stuck with guys that weren't in bad moments as well. So I'm leaning more on Vitória's side for the poorer performances. I know it's a bit harsh, and I know it might look like I have an agenda, but that's where I'm leaning instead of the player quality or the player form.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, but we all have expectations. Steve, obviously, who concentrates more of his interest in the tactical aspect of the game, has different expectations than myself and Cristiano. Cristiano has a very high expectations. I mean, he was coached by João Manso after all.
I can't believe we shouted that guy out.
Shout out.
He's in the Hall of Fame, by the way. Jersey Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Sad.
Anyway, so that's it. That wraps it up. Let's look ahead to Benfica's preseason. Benfica will start probably around the 4th of July. On the 13th of July, they're in Switzerland for a couple games. The Uran Cup.
Yura, they used to
Neuchâtel.
play for Benfica.
You should no, not that guy.
Similar.
Neuchâtel Jamax and Young Boys on the 13th and the 15th, and then on the 22nd, still unconfirmed whether Chapecoense is going to come and
Chapecoense, man.
Chapecoense.
Can't get that wrong.
Chapecoense is coming to play the Eusebio Cup or not. That happens on the 22nd. Then Benfica will travel to England, where they will spend a week at St. Edward's?
St. George's.
St. George's, which is the England national team.
It's like parte de
camp. Yeah. And during that time, Benfica will play the Emirates Cup against Arsenal on the 29th. Then on the 30th against Red Bull Leipzig. And then on the 5th, we have the Super Cup. Those are all the games that have been confirmed so far. I'm sure there will be some more added. I know that Benfica usually plays the Guadiana tournament. But so far, these are the only...
the bridge?
Yeah, the one for the bridge. This is the what's been confirmed so far, but we anticipate Benfica starting on the week of July 4th or around there. Players will be reporting to camp. Let's turn our attention to Twitter questions. We haven't had many people watching us today, so we'll see how many Twitter questions we have here. Let's see. I'll scroll down here to the very first one. We'll go in order. Sorry. I got these allergies. I apologize.
We have one of the last podcasts. The first one that I could read here is from Pete.
Wait. Eu digo.
Well,
Peter
I'm just trying to help you.
Peter Hoffman. Peter Hoffman. Who would be a good replacement of Ederson? And what do you guys think of Benfica's Champions League campaign this season?
Oblak.
Yeah.
No, be real. This is at Peter Hoffman, and is Peter spelled as the German Peter, Pieter.
Beleza.
Pieter. I think that Benfica are interested in the kid from Atletico Madrid, not Joel.
Joel Pereira is in Manchester United. Joel Campos Moreira is the kid at Atletico Madrid who played at Nacional this season at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so that's from what we understand. It's a good. I think that Benfica will try to bring a young kid. Julius is again going to play a role in adapting.
It depends. Some reports saying that he's out, but it depends.
I think that if Benfica signs Paulo Lopes, I don't see a reason. I don't see a reason for Benfica. I know that there's a lot of guys out there talking about Moreira. I don't see a reason for Benfica to bring another older goalkeeper. I think that you got to groom a young goalkeeper. You already have Lopes. You already have Cesar, who are up there in age.
Just right there. It's almost 90 years old combined.
Peggy at Peggy21. Shout out to Peggy. If you don't know Peggy, you should get to know him. Don't forget your goal of the season, please. Mine is Zivkovic versus Sturil, second leg Taça semifinal. He's only saying that because he was at the stadium that day.
Was he?
Yeah.
Can you guys think of a goal?
Goal of the season for me, Jonas Sturil as well. Gaveta.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That one. You got that. You got Lindelof's goal against Sporting, which was instrumental. I mean, there's tons of them. Here's one from Nós Somos Campeões. I don't even know. It's been a historic season. What are your thoughts on Benfica concentrating their efforts to winning the Champions League and lifting the curse?
I think it's a little premature. Exactly, Steve.
Yeah, for the budget that we have and for the players.
Oh man,
the players we can get is very difficult. Can we go on a run? I think we can. I doubt it whether Vitória is the coach for that or not, especially because of the talent that he has available to him.
It's Champions League is different. It's if you're tactically wanting and you don't have the better team, you're always going to have a difficult time in the Champions League. I mean, it's the cream of the crop there, right? So you're going up against the best coaches and the best players. So if you're lacking on one side, it's always going to be harder for you.
Give Vitória a Manchester City team, and I'm sure he could do it. But
still too early, man. I mean, I think Benfica is realistically, if we keep progressing the way we've been doing over the last 4 years, I think it's a 10-year plan until Benfica gets out. So I'm gonna say another 4 or 5 years until Benfica is ready, because they're gonna sell. I mean, it's gonna be hard, guys. I mean, you're gonna sell world-class players in Ederson, Lindelof, and Smith. Just those three alone, it's gonna be hard to make a run.
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with people on Twitter. Where they've asked me about Rui Vitória and what do I think about where Benfica is headed. And Benfica's plan was very clear. JJ to break up the hegemony that Porto had. After that, you bring in you bring in a guy that's going to tap into the academy, which you've put a lot of money into the academy to get some of these kids into the main team. And I think that once Benfica has a system set up where they're pulling some guys from the academy and they're turning up, they're forming good kids and they're selling well, I think then it becomes the next phase where Benfica is going to bring in a coach that could do more tactically to take the team to the next phase. Pete Tomakin, great result, but terrible match. Will at Steve Santos go for Salvio as man of the match? He's talking about the Guimarães.
Just for the goal, Pete, I don't think he was his normal, really good in terms of effort, but I also saw his normal poor decision making many times. I wouldn't give him man of the match. I'm struggling now to find who I would give it to, but I wouldn't give it to Salvio.
Yeah, I mean, he did win the man of the match by the.
I know he did.
He did win it, but
he scored the winning goal.
Yeah, I don't think he had a tremendous game by any stretch. And like you, Steve, there's not one guy that I could really point to and said, "Wow, that guy." I mean, so giving it to him, I have no problem with it.
Here's another one from Pete. Great season, made even better by at Benfica Podcast meetup in Lisboa. Well done, guys. Have a great summer, team, and all listeners. Yeah, I mean, if there's something we could look back at this season, at this Tetra season, is the memory of being able to meet up and to go to that Porto game and to meet up with everyone, and that was awesome. And I'm sorry, Steve, that you missed it. Here's another one from Nós Somos Campeões, and is at Steve Tweet A. He says, "Thank you very much, Alfredo, Steve, and Chris. This podcast is one of my faves, and it's been informative and very entertaining. Thank you very much for your kind words. Man. Here's one from Mr. Mello at Mr_Mello. Aside from the obvious Tetra and Taça, what are some of the most memorable moments from this historic 2017 season?"
Eliseu, na Vespa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The whole Lindelof can score free kicks is still fresh in my memory. I'll put that one there.
Yeah. There's a lot of good memories. I think that celebration is something unique that you've never seen before. But yeah, the goal at Sporting,
Lisandro's goal on Dragão. I mean, the game that we pretty much given away. I mean, you could go to different instances. I mean, the look that Jimenez gave the cameras after scoring the game-winning goal in Rio Ave, like, I mean, this is just a bunch of different memories. I mean, everybody has their own favorites, but to me, I think the one thing I'm going to remember about this is Eliseu and the Vespa, bro. That's something that's going to stick with you forever.
Yeah. Here's one from Negative George. Should Benfica for 1 year buy nobody and look at the forces within? Jovic, João Carvalho, Saponjic, Marçal.
Jovic is already halfway out the door.
Yeah.
The way I read it. And I don't think it would be nice and it'd be interesting to see, but I don't think it's actually realistic or reasonable.
It's not realistic for one reason, Steve, and that's the fact that Benfica always has the pressure of winning the title, and they can't allow that to slip up. And now, especially when you're finally making history with the Tetra, and now you could go and get the Penta, There's no way Benfica is going to sit tight and let all these, like I said before, world-class players leave and just be content.
We already got Šverović coming. He confirmed it himself.
Way to go, buddy.
Hopefully,
Hopefully, don't let him sign the contract.
Asked Mr. Mello, pick one player who you'd like to see Benfica realistically sign this offseason and why.
Tough.
Steve, you got any Spanish league players that I know you like watching Spanish league players?
I've watched so little Spanish league this year. It's not even funny. It's sad.
Ni un boludo.
I think it's early. I mean, my mind hasn't been on that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's guys I love.
I like
European football, but I mean, right now I haven't really thought about that, guys.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if I sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys keep talking, I'll probably think of someone.
Yeah, I think realistically for me, an established 8 y un matador.
I got one. My surprise. He's not world class, but you know what? It's someone I think would be good in the Portuguese league, and that's Chicharito Hernandez. I think he'd be good.
I'm sure he'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'd be good. I don't think we could afford his wages, but I'm sure he'd be good.
Mm-hmm. But that's realistic, Steve. I mean, Benfica can make that happen. It's not out of this world.
No, in terms of quality and
even financially,
where he's at.
Even financially, you know, so I think he makes $1.5 million or whatever it is.
That's all.
It's not too crazy. Yeah,
I would have assumed that it was higher than that, coming from Manchester United, and I know he must have had to take a pay cut going to Germany, but
yeah. Here's another one from Negative. After another successful season for the Benfica podcast, any truth that the success is due to the excellent, intelligent, hilarious guest hosts? He's obviously referring to himself.
Of course. No, he does a tremendous
Negative.
job. Negative. You can have my seat anytime you want. Just shoot me an email or DM and I'll pull an injury. I'll pull a muscle sign. You can sit in my seat whenever you want.
Yeah, we've had great joy in having George. He's one of our favorite co-hosts that we like having, and he's always welcome to be on. And we thank you for being available and pinching in whenever one of these guys wasn't available. So thank you for that.
I got a question for George, and if you're listening, George, I mean, you could hit me up on Twitter. Any truth that you get all your soccer knowledge from your cousin Neil? Because that's what he tells me. He DM'd me today. Let me know.
What does he want?
If he gets all his knowledge from Neil.
Oh yeah,
his cousin. That's what Neil says. I want to know that.
He gets a cartilla from Neil every week.
Exactly.
Here's one from Timo. Timo wants to know when the next podcast meet is. This last one was 2 years in the making, so I don't know.
And I heard people still flaked out. That's just
for this.
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Here's another one from Timo. Can each host provide their top 3 players of the season?
We did.
I think we all have the same top 3.
Ederson, Semedo, and PT. Yeah. Most important game of the season. That Sporting game was important. Yep. I mean, down the stretch, any game it was important, to be honest.
But the Sporting one, when everyone was expecting us to lose away from home, and we just had to stay focused on coming out of there still in first place, and we did. That's a key point in the season and probably the most important for me.
Yeah. Here's one from Timo. He's got a joke. As each host had their contract renewed, can't confirm or deny, but I heard rumors that Tencio 10 was being cut.
Hey, it's possible. Email the man here and let the board get together and let them make a decision. Go ahead.
The 2 Portuguese kids. Any exciting plans for the summer? By the way, thanks for another great season of Benfica Insights. Signed, the 2 Portuguese kids. No, just resting, recharging our batteries. At least myself, and I know Steve is busy. He's got a kid.
Always got something going.
He's got a young kid. Justino, Eliseu the man, have you guys been watching the Portugal U20 competition at all? Any Benfica players catch your eye?
Gomes been a disappointment.
Yeah, but you know that Gomes is the youngest kid on that team?
I would imagine so.
Yuri Ribeiro, very impressed by him. I think that the first 3 games that Portugal played, very bad. Today I got a chance to watch the first half, and I thought they were pretty decent against the hosts, no less. So let's see if they if they pick up some momentum going forward. Next game, I believe, is this weekend. And those games are actually, I think, decent times now. Justino says you guys should do a fan meetup for the Orlando City at New York Red Bulls game. He said that him and GD Sharv's World and I will be attending. Yeah, sure. When is that game? We'll try to make it. Cristiano and I are at that stadium every single game almost.
No, not at that game. You said Orlando City.
No, at that
NYC.
stadium.
He said Red Bulls or NYC? He said NYC, bro.
Did he say NYC?
Totally shut.
No, the NY Red Bulls.
Okay, then yeah.
Cristiano and I have press credentials for the Red Bulls, so we usually go to those games. Here's one from Mateus Medeiros. How much money in sales do you expect this offseason? And how else can we address our debt?
189,632,052
I think that at no less than 80. We won't sell less than 80.
80.
Yeah.
That's 2 players.
80 million.
There's more players leaving.
No less than that, so it's going to be more.
No less than 80.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think the figure's going to be somewhere between 80 and 100, personally.
Yeah, I'd hate to be in Porto's shoes who has to sell 120 million worth of players. Here's one from Tiago Coimbra, our friend from Switzerland. Thanks for this podcast season. Enjoy your holidays, boys. Thank you. Here's one
that
from...
sounds weird. Enjoy your holidays. We say that for Christmas and New Year's.
Hey.
And they say holidays.
Férias é férias.
No, because right now we said enjoy your holidays.
The summer holidays.
I'm thinking like, damn.
Yeah. Here's one from Jafust. How many starters from the Taça do you expect to start in the Super Taça in August? At least 6 of them. Here's one from Código Novo. With all the player sales this summer, is the Penta really a possibility? Sure, why not?
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's got to be a possibility. That's just what the club is striving for. It's got to be a possibility, and based on the previous years, yes, we lose this player and that player, but we always seem to find a solution, whether it's a different player or a slightly different rejigging of formation or whatnot. There's always a solution. So
yeah, but don't forget, the one thing that really gives me hope is that the other 2 clubs will be losing key players as well. So I mean, I think they'll all even out. They're all going to lose crucial players. Yeah. For that reason alone, I think Benfica absolutely has the upper hand right now. I mean, obviously, if these teams bring in tremendous players, that'll change. But because Benfica is the deepest team, they could afford to lose more players than the other 2.
Benfica is the deepest. Yes, I agree. Porto is going to have to sell a shitload of players. Sporting bought a shitload of players last season, but all of them were bad. And I don't think they have the money to go get more.
They're going to get Quintrão,
the biggest thing that's...
Quintrão will be hurt for 30%. Sorry, he'll only play 30% of the season, if that.
The biggest thing that Sporting has going for them is JJ as a coach. Here's one from Sergio, another one from Sergio Jafos. Do you believe that the silliness between the clubs will calm down next year with the VAR, or will it get worse? We already said here, and sorry, it will get worse.
I think it'll get worse because now you see the partnership between the green and blue clubs, right? And they're going to come out and attack Benfica really hard. So you're going to hear more noise because now it's going to be both of them at the same time, which is already 98% of the time.
Sporting vai ser a puta do Porto. Código Novo, would a season in which we won the Europa League competition and nothing else constitute a success?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in
European trophy you haven't had since '62, man. It would have to be a success, regardless of its
breaking that Gutmann coach
curse.
Coach curse. Do you see any former Benfica players returning into the fold? Enzo, Javi Garcia. I would no, thank you. Javi Garcia, I would take, not Enzo.
I'd take Javi Garcia, but I don't know. I don't actually see it happening.
Yeah.
Where would Javi play?
Backup face-up.
You got to move face. He's not going to come to be a backup, though. That's the thing. You would not come to Benfica. He'd be one of the highest paid players on the team. He would not come to be a backup. That's what I'm saying. I don't need him. We need Enzo more than we need Javi.
Fair, but I don't think Enzo left the club.
That's fine. I'm not Steve. I'm not saying he's coming back. I'm saying
which
one of
Enzo.
the 2 we need. We need Enzo more.
Yeah.
Fair.
I could live without him. Here's one. Jafurst monopolizing the questions. Did you guys see pics of Eliseu lifting the taça with some disabled fans?
Yes, tremendous job.
Yes, that was so. At the end of the game, while the whole go ahead, Christian.
And I got
you
a
want to tell
crazy
the story
theory here. No. Well, you go ahead because I got a crazy
No,
theory.
so after the team went around the stadium, blah 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 blah. Eliseu took the cup and he went to celebrate with some disabled fans that were on the sidelines.
Took pictures with every single one of them.
Yep. So,
and here's my crazy.
Go ahead.
I think Eliseu was out the door. I don't think Benfica were going to renew and bring him back. Re-sign him.
I still don't think so.
I hear that he's coming back, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, and I think he made he took a mental note of this, and he made a point to go out. He did a tremendous job honoring and celebrating the Tetra. And now even I heard that the players were all going into the locker room, and he grabbed them all and he yelled at them and said, come back outside. Let's celebrate with the fans. I think he was really soaking it in because he thought that it might be his last ride. But I think Benfica saw that as a guy that really loves the club, and they're going to bring him back for another season.
I don't know. I think that Eliseu will be back next season, but it will be him and Gonçalves will be running the Paris-Dakar. Eliseu in the Vespa and the Gonçalves in the Kawasaki. That's where I think he's going to be. No, I don't think he's going to be renewed.
Okay.
Here's Diogo Metgil at Fluid Figo. Wouldn't it be better if coaches had, let's say, 3 challenges during any game to review whatever they want? So what happens after the third challenge, the last 10 minutes of the game,
and you get it wrong.
And yeah,
force the player off to the bench.
I get what you're saying, because those challenges would also help the coaches, organize the team and say some stuff to the team.
I'd say 1, because there's already enough stoppages in football. You could actually squeeze, but 3 I think is too much. 1 I'd be okay with. I wouldn't be against.
Yeah. Jafur says you can argue Semedo is most improved. He started well last year and then never recouped the form after his injury.
He never got to play. Andre Almeida played the rest of the time. But yeah, that's not a bad shout. But we all knew. I already knew what he was. Well, we all did, because he was tremendous.
Here's one from Michael M at MJM_83. He says Rui Vitória surpassed JJ already. One recovered the honor of Benfica. JJ plus players laughing at German ref on the ground.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And allowing that. You're right. I mean, if there's a classy guy, it's Vitória. Here's one from your buddy Cristiano, PortugueseSoccer.com.
And by the way, you wanted me to tell you guys that when he makes these questions to the pod, they're not directed at me. They're directed at all 3 of us.
All 3 of us. So anyone can jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going through because we're at an hour and a half now. Outside Benfica, 2 years ago, Portuguese clubs don't visit North America anymore. Why? I say bring Taça Final to North America. Tás maluco, bro. I love to have Portuguese clubs here. I loved following Benfica when they were here. But it wasn't the best. It was a
letdown. I mean, you can't blame anyone but the fans. I mean, the club Benfica came out. They had 11, 12,000 fans. I mean, especially at Red Bull
Arena. It was
Arena,
awful.
Where I expected shit to be a sellout because
even in Toronto.
And it was terrible. Absolutely terrible performance.
Toronto wasn't a sellout either.
I think Connecticut was like 16 or whatever it was, and
yeah,
Red Bull was like, I don't know, they 12 or whatever. It was terrible performance.
Yeah, it wasn't well attended, and we all know the strain that it put on the team that preseason. Though we went on to win the 3, but for Cristiano, Steve and myself, that was an amazing experience because we got to follow the team as members of the press, and Cristiano and I were present in all 3 games: Toronto, Connecticut, and New Jersey. Steve was Toronto and New Jersey, but I mean, we had fun. Cristiano pissed off a couple people, but
made the news.
Yeah, made the news, made the record. But we'd love it, but I'm good, man. I'm good. Stay in Europe, man. Don't.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it because the biggest summer tournament is being played in North America with relevant sports. And when you're one of those teams that's privileged enough to be invited, that means, you're getting a lot of notoriety. You're getting a lot of coverage. You're getting a lot, you're opening your doors to a whole new set of eyes. And so I'm 100% in favor of it. But unfortunately, like I said, according to what I hear, Benfica wants to charge big bucks for participating in these tournaments. The exact words were by someone told me, Benfica think they're Real Madrid. They want to charge the same fee that Real Madrid charges to participate in these tournaments. And I said, and my response was, who cares? They're going to sell out the stadiums. And he's like, we'll see. And then when they come out, the fans did not show up. So, I mean, to me, it was terrible by the fans. But I love the fact that they're involved in that tournament.
If I think that, if it's going to be that disruptive to the preseason, then Benfica has the right to ask for as much money as they would like.
But why? But why is it disruptive? I mean, they're going to play a tournament in London, right? What's the difference? They're going to fly from Portugal to London. Okay, add a couple more hours. You're in New York City.
For this couple more hours. That's Maluk, pa.
I don't know. How much is the flight?
2 hours.
Oh, it's 2 hours? Okay, twice.
Couple 3 times, 4 times.
The killer was Toronto, Connecticut. Then they went down to Mexico.
Mexico was afterwards.
It was awful, man.
Mexico was the 4th game.
That's what I just said. Toronto, Connecticut, New Jersey. Then I missed the New Jersey stop. But
here's a continuation of MJM_83. He said that JJ forced loss of amazing talent like Gomes, Oblak, Cancelo, plus Silva. After the joy of seeing our youth this year, we lost so much. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's not
the only
100% to blame. I think there's a hand in there in the club. You know, you're offered 15 million for players who have yet to play for the A team. I don't know if you refuse that.
We talked about this a lot. There was the whole thing about us being in debt, and we had debts to pay by X date, and that was all around the same time.
Yeah. So here's a one from Kevin. I just want to say thank you for a great season of podcast. Made the ride to work amazing. Excellent work by all. Viva Benfica. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
We appreciate that that you enjoy listening to us, that you put us on your ride to work, and I hope you didn't crash
into an accident, blame us,
or run over any moose up there and past the wall. Here's one from Mike DaCosta. Amazing that Fesa is getting overlooked in the defender and MVP conversation. It's like we expect it from him now.
Guys, we can't pick everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, by not picking them, that's not a knock. It just the other guys had better seasons.
Yeah.
And the other guys weren't injured. Smith wasn't injured. Played practically every game.
Yeah. I thought that Fesa was used, but was used.
Yeah, he was. I'm not taking anything away from him.
He was hurt at times. Diogo, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you guys for this year's podcast. You guys are all right. Just all right, dude.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
I think that's what the tongue out smiley is for. Come on now.
You're all right too, bro.
How would you feel about a 3-man midfield with Rafa there? It would hide a lot of his flaws in the final third.
Who said that?
Diogo met Jill.
I don't think a
no
3-man midfield is coming anytime soon. Personally.
No, but that's fine. But even if you want to change to a 3-man midfield, Steve, even if you want to change it, he's not a player to play in a 3-man midfield. I don't think. Absolutely not. He'd have to be one of the guys up top in the wingers. If that's what he's referring to. 4-3-3 and he's on the up top. Fine.
If he's the 10th, if he's like the 10 guy in a 4-3-3, I could kind of see it. I wouldn't play it that way either.
No, not in the midfield though. He'd have to be one of the 3 guys up top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Steve just agree with me.
I think Rafa is a guy for the wing. I think that's where it's.
Why, and I don't want to get you rolling.
Here's Brian Pereira at Bums 251. What do you guys think of Šverović coming over, and which forward do you think leaves? I think Aul might have market in either.
I think
Middle
there
East,
might be a couple
Asia.
leaks in the roof at the Seychelles. Šverović will come in handy.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we could cover Fesa with Šverović so Fesa won't get hurt.
Look, I don't like
you guys need to explain what Šverović is.
Is
styrofoam.
Steel wool, isn't it?
Styrofoam.
Styrofoam. Not
Šverović.
Listen, I don't like the signing, but hopefully he proves me wrong and hopefully he surprises. I mean, it's a guy that barely scored in like 4 years, wherever the hell he's been playing at, and now he's going to come to Benfica and work wonders. Don't see it, but we've seen Benfica sign a boatload of other guys.
Eintracht. He's coming from Eintracht.
Yeah, we've seen Benfica sign a boatload of other guys that didn't even crack the starting, the what is it, the game roster, match day roster, let alone the starting 11. Just like Benfica today, they signed Patrick Vieira. Got to mention that. Patrick Vieira from Marítimo, and immediately loaned them out to Vitória Setúbal. Don't understand why. We'll see. There's a couple rumors, a couple guys on Twitter starting because there's other players coming back. I don't see that, but we'll find out soon enough. I just don't understand why. As of now.
There's the guys from Nacional, but apparently that's debt that Nacional owes Benfica.
No, I'm talking about Marítimo player.
But then there's
Benfica
3 guys from Nacional also. I know what you're saying, though.
Okay.
Michael's still going. Number 3, JJ was going up against better Porto teams, but
Absolutely.
JJ also had amazing teams. He did have good teams.
Goes hand in hand.
Do you guys miss a coach like JJ? I do miss the swagger he brought. It's Tony Lima at Tony LIM 356766089.
My favorite thing about JJ, you want to know what my favorite thing about JJ was? When we were playing Tottenham and he done Tim Sherwood. Like, yo,
he did that to Manuel Machado also, dude.
Yeah, but that didn't matter. Tottenham, that's, he's like, yo, I mean,
but
he's a clown, dude.
That was just accepted because Sherwood was, people hated Sherwood.
JJ and Klaas don't belong in the same sentence.
Yeah, no, I don't miss him at all, dude. Steve might miss him. I don't miss him.
I love the way the club played.
I miss some things about him, but I can't say that I want him back by any means.
Yeah. I get some questions.
Man, you know what's sad, Alfredo? That every single pod we get blamed for bringing up Jay, but it's not even us. It's these damn questions. We can't just get away from JJ.
Yeah, I know that Patrick calls us out all the time for bringing JJ.
People, it's like, dude, it's not us. We just have to answer the question.
I got one here from Neil. He DM'd me because I can't see his tweets. Now that Ederson is gone, Benfica needs to get a quality goalie for UEFA. Bruno Varela, José Moreira are familiar with the Benfica and the league. Joel Pereira is nice though, but he's only 18. Benfica need to spend money. Matias Perrin, André Moreira, Anthony Lopes. I don't know who Matias Perrin is.
He's Italian.
He's from Genoa or something like that.
Yeah, I like him. Matias Perrin was linked to Benfica for like 3 consecutive years, but now with Ederson, Julio Cesar, that stopped being an option. But I think Benfica right now, guys, you have to remember what stage Benfica's at right now. Steve, tell me if you disagree. Right, they're in the seller's mode. Benfica is going to sign young players, in order to develop them and get the bank for their buck. And so, look, it's nice to fantasize about José Moreira coming back to Benfica. It makes no sense, but it's nice to fantasize about. But I think Benfica is going to want to develop a good young goalkeeper that they could, get some major money for in the future.
André Moreira seems the likely choice. Like I said, I don't think Benfica would bring in an older goalkeeper to play. And look, I like Moreira as much as the next guy, but it doesn't make sense. Doesn't fit. I think that's all we got. I think we've gotten plenty. I think Steve's about to fall asleep.
Just about.
Anyway, to some serious stuff. I just wanted to thank everybody for all the support this season. It's been a long, exhausting season, as I've mentioned. All this back and forth, all these wars between the clubs had me mentally drained. I love talking about our club, and I love supporting our club, but this season was just taxing to see everything, and I think that we deserve a break. I know that Cristiano has wanted to go, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case unless he decides to do one by himself. But I think that Steve and I and Cristiano also deserve a break. Just wipe the slate clean, come back next year, have some more to talk about, rather than put out podcasts where we're just addressing the silly season. So that's what we're going to do.
We'll all be on Twitter, though, to address the
Cristiano will be on Twitter.
Steve will love
we appreciate the support from everyone.
Yes, we do.
We thank all the guys that made the effort to meet us up in Lisbon. And I'm not going to shout out everyone because I'll forget somebody, and then that person will be mad at me. Everybody that supports us on a day-to-day basis on
this
Twitter.
wouldn't be as much fun without you guys.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone, and again, I don't want to shout out anyone because I'd forget somebody, and I don't want to be the Greek guy who gets upset at people from not shouting him out. So anyway, I just shout out the Greek guy. Anyway, thank you very, very much for your support. Without your support and your words of motivation, I don't think that this would be possible. There's a lot of work that goes into this podcast from all three of us, a lot of things that we sacrifice to come to you every week. We all have our personal lives. We all have our professional lives, and we take time from those lives to bring you this. So I hope that everybody appreciates it. And, we apologize if we offended anybody with our jokes, with some of our opinion. And I know that sometimes we're not politically correct as we should, but it's all in good fun. And, I never meant, or we never meant to hurt anybody's feelings, or offend anybody's beliefs, morals, religious beliefs, so on and so forth. But I'm just saying, thank you everybody that supports us, that watches the video on YouTube every week. Thank you for those of you that subscribe to us on iTunes. Thanks for some of the podcasts that I've popped up. That if there was a type of flattery, seeing podcasts pop up and guys that are doing things that are similar to us is probably the ultimate form of flattery, and I appreciate that those guys recognize that we've been around for a while and have found inspiration on what we do. Keep doing what you're doing. That's all we can say. And all I can say is really thank you.
That was like those extra long Oscar speech when they when
the music started playing
and stuff. Guys, it's been a blast of a season. Difficult at times, like Alfredo said. Thank you for all your support, Chris. Thanks for making me laugh all the time. Alfredo, you're the captain. You're the man.
Yeah.
And so all of you have a wonderful summer, and we'll be talking about this. And it's only a month off, guys. So
yeah,
we'll be back soon.
It's like I would say probably 5 weeks.
We'll be back fresquinhos for the Penta, and I want to, say basically what these guys just said, which is appreciate and thank all you guys for making this possible. You guys are tremendous. We have a lot of fun with you guys. That being said, I think these guys said it all. We'll be accepting donations over the next 5 weeks. I'm just saying, yo. Não queres dar o address? Não queres dar o address?
Donations for what, dude?
I don't know. We'll make something up. Uns cascóis or whatever. I don't know. We'll make something up for the trip at Red Bull Arena.
I have plans to come up with something, whether it's a shirt or a scarf. So you guys could all show your love for the podcast.
Cuecas do Benfica Podcast.
We appreciate it. This, like I mentioned, not only work goes into this, but monetarily, this is something that comes out of my pocket. Obviously, I never asked anybody for money to do this.
Just me. That's it.
Anyway. I think we said everything.
Please.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for supporting us as always, and we'll see you in about 5 weeks. And if we end up popping up somewhere, we'll make sure that we'll let you know on Twitter. All right, everybody. At 10CO10, at Steve Santos 6, at Talking to the Doll with D being DA. At Benfica Podcast, benficapodcast.com, planetbenfica.co.uk, on Facebook, so on and so forth. See everybody. Thanks.
Ciao.
Laters.